call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now we will be getting into the speed metal wave. Now this is a wave made up of pure speedsters. We will be taking a look at all of them and finally culminating with the collectible figure of the Darkest Night. Now first up we will be taking a look at Wallace West, Kid Flash. Now this is not your traditional Kid Flash version. This is the version from the speed metal storyline in the comics. Now there is also another suit that I think it's kind of in between the two versions, but it might be like a rebirth or a New 52 version. I'm not sure, but it kind of has the same color scheme, but a little bit more of like the traditional build of the suit. Now I wouldn't actually mind McFarlane taking a shot at that version of this character, but this one is also pretty interesting. There's some things that look really cool, and as always, it is awesome to expand the line and get into more alternate versions of characters. Now he does look pretty mind-bending in the packaging, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at it. But first he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now this is not really needed, but sometimes it comes in useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front you do have some figure photography, and on the back you do have some information. Interestingly enough, it is the exact same character bio that came with the original Kid Flash figure. So not really anything different in the bio there, but we will add this to the collection. Now he does come with some accessories. He comes with some lightning effects, speed force effects. These I think are for the lower legs. Pretty cool. Then you have some for the upper arms. Always nice. And then you do have this kind of like harness version that goes across his shoulders, on his chest. Kind of reminiscent of the one we received with the CW Flash. But of course this time it is in red translucent plastic. And he also does come with the first part of the collectible figure of the Darkest Night, and this is the torso piece. Now it is kind of translucent, kind of purplish color, but we will take a closer look at this once we open up all of the figures. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at them. Now, just like anything from McFarlane, people think that this is just a random version of, of a DC character. But of course we do know this is comic accurate. It is from its own, the speed metal storyline, kind of after death metal and all of that. Pretty interesting look for this character. Do like the translucent plastic on the guards of the forearms, and it's just an alternate version. Now he is still kind of a slimmer character and a little bit more, reduced stature. He's not as tall as your basic McFarlane figures, still giving him that Kid Flash, kind of body type. But let's go ahead and take a look at the head sculpt. Now, one thing that is kind of interesting is you got all this translucent plastic like on his gauntlets and over his shoulders, and even the effects are like really transparent and see-through. But I don't know why they went with the goggles that are more of a just thick plastic that you cannot see through. I just think that added little touch of like seeing through the lenses and seeing his eyes underneath would just be a lot cooler. I don't know why they went with this thicker plastic, but it is a choice. I mean, they had It's not like they don't have the translucent plastic because, of course, here it is. What I was thinking is that maybe underneath here there is no eyes, and it's just easier for them to make it a solid plastic and then just glue it on and not actually have to worry about what's underneath there. It just one little step that makes it cheaper to produce a figure, especially one with so much new sculpt work. But of course, that's just my theory. But it does look pretty cool. A little bit different hairstyle than the traditional Kid Flash. Love the skin tone and the realistic take on the sculpture. The details of the face. And of course, as always, the goggles do kind of grow on you after a while. Pretty cool. And there's certain things that you dislike at first, but then you come to appreciate them later on. Let's take a look at the articulation. Looks down really well. Also looks up very well. That's good for running poses. You do have right to left articulation. And of course you can tilt his head for some attitude. Now I love the translucent plastic that they use on his chest emblem. Looks really nice and gives it like a little bit of pop. Something just cool about it that reflects the light that comes off of it. You got these like wings, kind of like fins over his shoulders, which is an interesting touch. And of course you have some really nice texture, kind of a micro bead texture that it's hard to see, but you can actually feel it if you touch it with your fingers. Now let's take a look at the waist articulation. You do have side to side. And then you got that full waist tilt-a-whirl motion, giving it a lot of range. You got a lower waist swivel, upper chest swivel, so you can twist them, get them in some pretty awesome poses. Now he does have a slight crunch, not too much, but it does lean forward. But then of course he can lean back really well, and then with the looking up, could get him in some cool running poses. Let's take a look at the shoulders. Now he does have that socket kind of bushing butterfly joint with a lot of range. You got up and down, front to back, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows that work really well. They look pretty good, passable. Now coming down from the shoulder into the forearms, you have these cool translucent red kind of fins on his forearm guards. Really nice added touch. Going down into the fist. Now he doesn't have any alternate hands. These are the fists that he comes with, but you still get that articulation at the wrist with the wrist ball joints. On the other side, you got the same thing. Now it is textured. The suit has like a little grainy texture on it, which is nice. Adds a little bit of depth to it. Now you can get him in a T-pose. And even get him a little bit higher, more of a Y pose. And of course you can put his arms straight above his head. All in all, great range at the shoulders and the arms. Let's take a look at his thigh swivel. Does have some thigh swivel. That means you can tilt his boots without any cuts and keeps the sculpt work nice and clean. He can kick up really high, more than 90 degrees. Can also kick back really, really high and even touching his back with his feet. That's a lot of range. And of course, once you put it back, the trunks go back to their normal form. That is the purpose of the rubber trunks, is to get a lot more range with the upper leg articulation. Now if you cock out his leg, bend the knee, he does have that sweet hip swivel. Double jointed knees actually look really clean, really nice. Straighten them out. You have up and down at the ankle, right to left, rocker, and of course you have toe articulation. Before we go, let's take a look at the lower legs. Now, the lower body actually doesn't have the same grain as the upper body, but you still have some cool kind of piping lines and added little accents in the suit, which, you know, separates it from just being a bland plastic sculpt into having its own little details. One thing I do not like is they did not paint the pins, so that's kind of really, you know, sticking out to my eye, but we could actually fix that. I'll do that later on. Then he has some pretty interesting fins that are kind of like devil horns coming out the sides of his calves, but it does add some dimension to the figure. All in all, loving the sculpt of the lower body. Take a look at the bottom. No tread, but he does have some identifying marks. Moving up the back, you could really see those fins prominently sticking out. And then going up, more nice detailed sculpt work. Kind of wrinkles in the suit. Going into the back, more detailed musculature, wrinkles. Just an awesome sculpt from McFarlane. Actually, a really nice detailed superhero costume for a speedster. Then of course you do have the back of his hair, and you do see the fins that stick out towards the back. All in all, I'm really happy with this figure. Now, this case for me, like, I really enjoy getting figures that we never thought we would get, or like new interpretations of characters. So for me, this is a win-win. I love this. Another speedster, another cool suit, and another tool if McFarlane ever wants to reuse this. So I'm definitely happy with him. Adding a new speedster is always pretty fun to give some range to the actual character selection. Now, I'm not too interested in like the lightning effects, the speed force effects. You know, people know how to use those, but I really do like these like draping speed effects. Give them like an energized look, and it actually sits really well and frames the thunderbolt on his chest. So this actually looks pretty cool, pretty awesome. So once you get him in some running poses, or you have him standing on the shelf with a little bit of swagger, he looks really good. Now, I don't really want to do too much comparisons, but I will stand him up next to a custom reverse flash that I'm actually going to be working on. That way you could tell that the reverse flash is actually a little bit taller. So this is kind of a more, you know, scaled down buck for a more youthful character. Now, before we go, also, I do want to take a look at, I did paint the pins. Now, it wasn't the easiest paint to match, but I did end up doing it, and it does look really clean, and it actually fills in the pins really nice, so they don't stick out so much and are more pleasing to the eye. But one thing I am really happy about is, now that we've taken a look at this one, let's go ahead and move on to the next one so that we could finally get to the Darkest Night. Now, this guy is going to look really cool up on the shelf with the translucent parts, the new detailed suit, beautiful head sculpt. This guy is going to be some awesome shelf candy. You guys, keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.